Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. News, stories, rumors, game recaps, everything and more. Please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And we get to the debate at hand. Did the New Jersey Devils get the right goalie in Jacob Markstrom, or should they have went for Linus Ullmark? Moments before the start of Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, it came across the wire on the internets and on the television that the Ottawa Senators have obtained Linus Ullmark in trade from the Boston Bruins, sending the internet into a complete frenzy. Devils fans immediately saying, oh my God, why didn't we get Ullmark? The return was almost the same. Fitzgerald's an idiot. We got ripped off. Full force pitchforks coming for Fitz, saying that he got ripped off. And so I'm here to get to the bottom of this and figure out, did we get the right goaltender? So let's take a deep dive into this and get some answers. First, we see the little graphic here from the Senators announcing the trade, and here are the details in text. Trade alert: the Sens have acquired Linus Ullmark from the Bruins in exchange for Boston's 24 first-round draft pick, number 25 overall, Mark Kastelic and Joonas Korpisalo. As part of the transaction, the Sens will retain 25% of Korpisalo's remaining salary. And there's the deal that people were going nuts. Oh, this is very similar to what we traded for Markstrom. Ullmark's so better. Why didn't we do it? So let's just take a look at this whole thing here. So that's the trade. And I'll be honest, my initial thought when I saw this come across in the details, the first thing I thought of was, props to the general managers across the league who are sitting on goalies they've been looking to trade. For the past couple of months, you know, and the goalies that everyone was talking about was Markstrom, Omark, Saros. They supposedly had completely insane asking prices. People were talking about high draft picks and prospects and high draft picks and roster players. These GMs actually had the media and the public believing that they were going to sit on their goalies unless they got these king's ransoms that they were demanding in return. And the first domino in the goalie market to fall was when the Devils did get Markstrom for a very reasonable price, in my opinion, with retention. Everyone had to know this was going to have a ripple effect on the goalie trades to come in the future. The Markstrom trade essentially set the market for all the future goalie trades that were going to be made this summer. And you also have to take into consideration that once the Devils got Markstrom, they were one buyer removed from the pool of buyers. So now there's one less bidder, essentially, in these goalie auctions. So now the Devils are out of it. So that's obviously going to maybe help prices stabilize and come down a little bit as well. First, let's just get into Linus Ullmark's stats, and we'll take a deep dive here. So you just look real quick. Rookie season 15-16 put up really nice stats, 2.6 goals against and a .913 save percentage in only 20 games played. Very small sample size. The next year he only played one game, not even worth talking about. 17 and 18, again, honestly, 5 games. What is that? I mean, great. He had goals against of 2 and a save percentage of .935 in 5 games. And then we get to 18-19, which essentially is the first time he's getting a real NHL workload. In the 37 games played that season, his goals against was .311 and .905. I mean, not terrible, but not amazing by any stretch either. Then we get to 2019-20, also with the Sabres in 34 games played. A respectable 2.69 goals against and a .915 save percentage. Okay. And then the following year in Buffalo, he played 20 games. Again, nice stats. 263 goals against, .917 save percentage. Then he gets dealt to the Boston Bruins. And this is kind of where the legend of Linus Ullmark begins. The legend. First year at the Bees, 21-22, 41 games played, 245 goals against, .917 save percentage. Very good year. Very good year. And then we get to 22-23, and this is where I think everyone just kind of loses their mind here. 22-23 and 49 games played. A beautiful 1.89 goals against and a save percentage of .938. I mean, that is a season for the ages. And Linus Ullmark took down the Vezina Trophy as the goaltender of the year as a result, and well-deserved. I actually won money on a bet. Shout out to Linus Ullmark. I put that bet in early on in that season. But that's kind of where this whole springboard thing about Linus Ullmark potentially being an elite goaltender began, in my opinion, with that Vezina season. Great season. And then this past season that we just finished up, 40 games played, a 257 goals against, and a 915 save percentage. Again, very good stats. Then we get to his playoff numbers, and this was one of the biggest things that gave me cause for concern when the name Ullmark was surrounding the Devils. And we just look, in this past season, he had 2 games played with the goals against a 3.9 and a save percentage of 886. You say, okay, it's only 2 games. Then you look at his career, and it's not a big sample size. Don't get me wrong. 10 games in the playoffs is not a ton. It's not a ton, not a huge body of work to go off of. But in the 10 games he's played in the playoffs, he has 3 wins. Only 3 wins in 10 games with a goals against average of 359 and a save percentage of 887. My friends, let me tell you, in 10 games played in the playoffs, his stats are looking like Vitek Vanacek numbers from this past season. 359 goals against and 887 is absolutely god-awful and a major red flag in my opinion. Also keep in mind, this is all happening on a very good Bruins team. And so, you know, a lot of people say, it's small. You know, he had the great regular seasons. I could get that. And I could get around the fact that Omark might be a really good goalie. It's quite possible. Then we just kind of dive into the next piece of the puzzle here. And that's obviously the shmoney. Show me the money. Well, what's the money? Ullmark right now has 1 year left on his deal at $5 million. There you see it. He signed a 4-year, $20 million deal with the Bruins. And so Ottawa traded for him what could hypothetically be for only 1 year. He could be a 1-year rental. It is possible. If the Senators fail to re-sign him, they made this trade for 1 year of Ullmark's services. So now, what would everyone say if Ullmark leaves the Senators after next season? What would you guys say? Furthermore, what would you say if Tom Fitzgerald made this trade and he left in free agency after 1 season? You all would be calling for his head, calling him a moron. You idiot. Why would you make a trade like this without an extension in place? And it would be justified criticism. I would say you're well within your rights to criticize something like that because it is a little bit crazy. But that's what Ottawa's looking at right now. It could potentially be a 1-year deal. If I was a betting man, I would have to believe there was some sort of behind closed doors, and this is all very shady with a lot of players a lot of times, is where you're not supposed to be talking about it, but somehow there's a lot of these kind of backroom deals and agreements, and who knows. But I have to believe that Ottawa is going to extend him at some point. I really do. But we'll see how that plays out. But in terms of Tom Fitzgerald making this deal, there's a very good chance that an extension wasn't in the cards at the moment for Ullmark. Maybe he was dead set on playing next year out, betting on himself, and hoping to get a really big payday next summer. That's quite possible. And so if the extension wasn't on the table to be had, there's a chance that Fitz didn't want to dig himself in a further hole by risking losing him after only 1 year and being back at square one with no goalie, and now he spent those assets. Not a very smart move to do, and it kind of reeks of desperation, in my opinion, from the Senators. I think this is part of their last-ditch effort to kind of get a competitive team on the ice and keep Brady Tkachuk happy, because those rumblings are getting super loud. Hashtag bring Brady to NJ. Let's get him here. He would look amazing in a Devils jersey. But I think that's a very fair thing to kind of analyze there. So now Fitz probably wouldn't be comfortable with the potential rental, and I totally get that. Another scenario is that he knew exactly what Linus Ullmark was looking for in terms of his next contract, and he was not comfortable paying the price. I believe Ullmark's going to be looking for something crazy like $7 million a year times 5 or 6 years. This is from an Athletic article today. Allowing Person to negotiate a pre-transaction contract for his client complicates a trade. Ullmark's next contract will be, in all likelihood, his final opportunity at a long-term big bucks score. Connor Hellebuck, 31, is starting a 7-year, $59.5 million contract in 24-25. Ullmark could make the case for an $8 million average annual value. Guys, when I see things like this, if Linus Ullmark was available in free agency this summer, if he was available in free agency this summer, I 100% would not even consider giving him a contract like this. Never mind giving up assets in a trade to bring him here and then giving him the contract. absolutely out of the question. Furthermore, signing Ullmark to a deal like this, it tells the world that you do not believe in any count them five, of the goalie prospects currently in the system. Akira Schmid, Nico Dawes, Isaac Poulter, Jacob Malik, Tyler Brennan, 5 goalies in the system. And that's telling the world if you're signing him up for that kind of money for that long, you don't believe in any of these kids. And if that's the case, you need to fire your entire scouting department and start over. You cannot go 0 for 5 on goalies. That would be complete waste of draft picks and showing that your scouting department is completely inept. You absolutely can't go 0 for on 5 goalies. You cannot. I do believe that one of these guys will be ready in 2 or 3 years to take over the reins from Markstrom and be the next goalie of the future for the New Jersey Devils. So if you haven't figured it out yet, for all of these reasons, Ullmark was a hard pass for me. And if you just boil it down to what it is, these were the options. Ullmark for 1 year at $5 million with an uncertain future. That's technically the gamble approach, which Ottawa seemingly is doing at the moment. We might see an extension coming shortly, next week or so. But at the moment, Ullmark for 1 year at $5 million with an uncertain future. Option B, Ullmark for 1 year at $5 million, which is next season, and an extension of $7 million or so times 5 or 6 years. That would be option B. Or option C, Jacob Markstrom for 2 years at $4.125 million. It is abundantly clear that Fitz made the right move here. You all know I am not a Fitz fan. I would be the first to criticize him for something if I thought it warranted it. This ain't it. This ain't it. So for everybody quickly that saw the return and was like, we got ripped off, Fitz is an idiot, we should have got Ullmark, we absolutely should not have gotten Linus Ullmark. Because it's all spelled out for you here. If you don't understand by now, I don't know what to tell you. But it was either gamble for a potential 1 year rental or bring him in and get extorted for the contract extension that he doesn't deserve. Or the sensible option was Markstrom for the 2 year stopgap with retention, bringing his cost down to $4.125 million for the New Jersey Devils. And as much as it pains me to say it, guys, Tom Fitzgerald made the right move here. Getting Linus Ullmark would have been completely irresponsible and reckless. And completely reckless. And like I said, it does come off as a bit of a desperation move on the part of the Senators. I really think that they know that this might be their last season with Brady Tkachuk. If they suck again and miss the playoffs, Brady Tkachuk, guys, if you watch the game tonight, Game 7, if you watch the game, you saw the whole Tkachuk family all rejoicing and everything. And I'm sure while Brady was genuinely happy for his brother, he had to have a lot of things going on in that mind of his that he's there watching his brother win a cup, and he hasn't even played in a playoff game. Ottawa is a sinking ship, and he needs to jump off it. Hashtag bring Brady to NJ. He would be such an amazing piece for this team. But I think the Ullmark acquisition is all part of their plan to try to kind of get this team in the right direction and make Brady believe that they are going in the right direction and can possibly compete for a cup sometime this century. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be fooled that easily. I think the proof is going to be in the pudding. Next season, if they miss the playoffs, I firmly believe he's going to go to Staios and say, I served my time. Get me out of here. I'm done. I need to go to a team that's competitive and play in playoff games and win a Stanley Cup now because now my brother has one, and I'll be reminded of that every day till the day I die. Or he dies, one or the other. But sibling rivalries are real. This is a hockey family. Big Walt, their father. Shout out to Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk, NHL legend. Love that man. I actually met him a couple times at The Rock. I had some conversations with him. Super nice guy. And I would love to see him at The Rock more when his son Brady is on the New Jersey Devils. We'll get a couple beers, Big Walt, me and you. Toast to the good life. Brady is a devil. Hopefully. I would love to see it. But let me know what you guys think about all this. I mean, I hope after I kind of went into this deep dive that it's a little bit clearer now because I understand that, people get caught up in the lynch mob and people's fast reactions, and it happens. It's part of sports. I get it. But after I've spelled all this out here, I mean, I don't know how anyone could think that Fitz did the wrong thing here. Ullmark just didn't make sense given the situation. either the rental with a pending extension, which was extortion, or just getting extorted with the deal in place. But either way, he's not worth that money, and it's irresponsible. And I'll be honest here. I would not be shocked if at the end of next season, and again, it's not apples to apples because we'll be playing on different teams, but still, I wouldn't be shocked if Jacob Markstrom's numbers are better than Omark's next year. I believe that's a real possibility. And so you guys know for the past couple months, I've kind of distanced myself from the whole Omark thing. I said back in a few videos that I was not interested because of how much he was going to be making in the future, or how much I knew he was going to be looking for. I was not interested in him at that price. And I always thought that Markstrom was the sensible option that I wanted and I believed we would get. And that happened. So call me a prophet. No, but Markstrom just made sense. That's why I thought he was going to come here the whole time, and that's why I wanted him. I liked him for the 2-year stopgap. One of these kids come in afterwards, and hopefully he's the next franchise goalie. But let me know what you guys thought about the game if you watched it. Let me know what you think about the Ullmark versus Markstrom debate now. I'm sure this will be going on for a few days. But, if you have any sort of common sense after watching this video, I'd have to believe that there's nothing to talk about anymore. I mean, this is pretty cut and dry to me. But, some people will still probably think that, Fitz was wrong. Some people will just criticize Fitz no matter what. And listen, you guys all know me. I've criticized him plenty throughout the season. But I'll tell you this, Joe Stalgia, for any of you that saw my buddy Joe Stalgia that has appeared on a couple shows, he has the worst takes of all time. And I've been dealing with it for 20 years. His takes are so bad. And he was blowing up my phone in a group chat tonight talking about the Ullmark thing and how Fitz is an idiot. And this is, another blemish on Fitz's resume. And we should have got Ullmark. And it's just too much to bear dealing with Joe Stalgia, honestly. He's definitely going to have a suspension of sorts, and he might get a ban. He might be banned from the program. I don't know. If any of you have a bleeding heart for Joe Stalgia and want to see him back, throw that out there in the comments as well. Maybe if enough of you want to see him back, I'll lift the ban or make the suspension shorter. But he's definitely serving a suspension, and if anyone cares, fight for him in the comments. But as of now, I don't know. We'll see Joe Stalgia again. The takes are just too bad for me. To try to blame, Fitz and implicate him on any sort of anything related to Ullmark versus Markstrom, completely ridiculous. I'm happy with Markstrom, and I hope to see him hoist a cup in a Devils jersey, and I think it's possible. Fitz just has to go out and make the rest of these moves to round out this roster this offseason and get us ready for war next season. Get us ready for war. You saw the Panthers. They are a war-tested, war-ready team, and this New Jersey Devils roster needs to be molded kind of in that blueprint, if you will. And I wouldn't say it's just a Panthers blueprint. To me, it's been the blueprint for successful hockey teams for my whole life, including the old school New Jersey Devils dynasty. Shout out to 2000 Devils. I'm rocking the old school Scotty Stevens 2000 Cup Finals jersey. Dusted this off out of the closet. Haven't worn it in probably 10 years. I forgot I had it, honestly, for a while. Scott Stevens, what a legend. Miss that man. But anything and everything, throw it out there in the comments. What do you think about the Ullmark versus Markstrom debate? I'm firmly on the side of what actually happened with Fitzgerald and the Devils, and getting Markstrom was absolutely the right move. The only other question now, before I wrap this up, the only other question I have now, seeing what the Markstrom deal price was and what Ullmark went for, the only thing I would love to know is, if it ever got that serious with Trotz in Nashville, what was the bottom line cost for Saros? And again, I don't know what the trade would have been, but his pending contract situation is something to take into consideration as well. But I would be really curious what the trade package would have had to have been, because these GMs, like I said earlier in the video, they had the public believing they were not going to settle for anything short of the moon and the stars. And that was kind of getting regurgitated through media and online. And it was a lot of bullshit, honestly. It was. And the holes were poked in that whole rhetoric when we got Markstrom, and that kind of just all the people holding goalies looking to trade him had to come to the realization that you're not going to take teams hostage for these guys. But throw anything out there in the comments. Markstrom versus Ullmark. What about Brady, the Cup Finals, anything else? Devils rumors. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.